Welcome to the intern program orientation at Santa Rosa Junior College. I'm Bev Henningsen and I'm going to step you through your intern handbook. So before you watch this DVD, or if you're watching this online, you may need to make sure that you have an intern handbook in front of you. So let's open the handbook and let's get started. So as we go through your handbook, I'd like you to notice that your handbook is oriented with steps 1 through 7 with various colors. The pink section is related to your first job site visit and your instructor. The yellow section is related to setting learning objectives on the job. The green section, section 4, is related to attending seminars, activities, and a project. The salmon section, your student report. The blue section, keeping track of the hours that you work. And the lavender section, how you're graded in your final job site visit. Now in your handbook, you'll note the specific page numbers that each of these sections relate to. So notice, in order to earn credit for orientation, on the bottom of page 1 is a credit form. Also, you can see the website address that we have listed if you'd like to submit your credit online. So what if you were enrolled in the intern course last semester? If that's the case, then you don't need to watch this DVD from beginning to end, but I encourage you to review your intern handbook and then, of course, to submit your credit form to the Work Experience office or online. Let's turn in your handbook to the pink section. This is related to the role of your instructor. An instructor will be assigned to you by the Work Experience program. That instructor will contact you by mail, by phone, or email, or possibly in person. And the purpose of that contact is to schedule that first appointment with you and your job site supervisor. Then the instructor will meet with you and your supervisor at your job site. The instructor's role is to review the plan that you and your supervisor came up with for learning objectives and to approve those objectives, and then complete an objective agreement form. The instructor will also give you the due date or the deadline for completing those specific learning objectives. You'll also earn points from your instructor. Notice at the bottom of this page how you earn points. You will earn 15 points based on your responsiveness to contacts with the instructor, scheduling the first appointment, writing your learning objectives, keeping your appointments, and then at the end of the semester, being prepared and reporting the hours that you work. The other 25 points is based on your student report, and you'll learn more about what those 25 points entail a little later on. So let's turn to the yellow section, which is step 3. Now the next page in your handbook will be a letter to your employer or your supervisor. What I'd like you to do is read this letter and then give it to your job site supervisor. This explains the role of the employer and your supervisor in order for you to earn credit in the intern program. You and your supervisor will be setting some learning objectives. So let's turn to the next page that's related to learning objectives. So what is a learning objective? A learning objective is a specific, measurable, single defined result with a completion date. In writing your learning objectives, you might wonder, well, how do I get started? So maybe before you talk to your supervisor about the objectives that you'd like to set, you might make a list of the things that you would like to do. Ask yourself, what could you learn now that would help you later? Of course, ask for your supervisor's input. Ask your instructor for some ideas. And if your certificate program has some specific program guidelines, such as the Business Office Technology certificates and the Human Service certificates, then you're going to want to make sure that you have a copy of those guidelines and that you've gotten them from the intern program before you set your learning objectives. So again, how do you write a learning objective? I like to use this acronym, the SMART acronym, S-M-A-R-T. And so SMART relates to the S, setting a specific goal for learning. The M is that your objective is measurable. The A is that it's achievable. The R, that it's realistic. And the T is that there's a time component. So in thinking about your objectives, when you've written out an objective statement, go back and reflect and see if your objective can pass this SMART test. So for each objective, you should be able to answer the following questions. What is it you're planning to achieve? And if you'll notice here in the first learning objective page, there's an example. And there's some indication of action words, description, a measurement, and completion date. So you're going to ask yourself, what do you plan to achieve? And that's going to be the action word and the description. And how do you intend to accomplish this? And how will the objective or your performance on the objective be measured? That's the measurement. Then when are you going to complete the objective? That's the completion date. So now turning to the next page, you'll see that there are some sample learning objectives. So review those sample page, and on the sample page you'll see some ideas. Some of those objectives might be pertinent to what you're doing, and some of them not even close to what you might achieve. But you at least will get an idea of the formatting of a learning objective by looking at this page. Now the next page is your objective worksheet. You're required to establish and complete 4 learning objectives. And our worksheet pages have the space for exactly 4 learning objectives. You'll notice again, we're going to require that your objective statements are in a final format. And that final in format includes a statement that begins with to, then an action word, followed by a short description, then a measurement, and last, a completion date. So on this worksheet, you'll see we've guided you through that, and you're going to want to fill out each section in order to have a learning objective that's going to meet our program's expectations. So I suggest you might pause the DVD right now and use this worksheet to create at least one sample learning objective. And how would you get started for that? You might think about a list, make a list of possibilities. Pick one idea from that list and then write it out in the format that we're going to require. And remember, you're going to need at least one learning objective to submit for orientation credit. So what happens when you meet with your instructor at the first job site meeting? Well, you're going to have this objective worksheet completed, and your instructor will review your and your supervisor's plan for your learning objectives. That's going to happen at the first job site meeting. Near the end of the semester, you're going to have a second job site meeting. And your instructor will probably ask you to be talking to your supervisor and arranging these 2 job site appointments. At the second meeting near the end of the semester, both you and your supervisor are going to evaluate how well you've done on completing those learning objectives. On the next page is a sample learning objective agreement form. So on this form, you can see that the 4 approved learning objectives that the supervisor and the student developed are written onto this form. You can see on the right-hand side, at the end of the semester, when that instructor's at the job site the second time, both you as the student and your supervisor are going to evaluate your performance. Now that point scale is from 0 to 10. You're going to rate yourself, and your supervisor is also going to rate you. At the second job site appointment, you're also going to report your hours worked. We're ready to move to step 4, and that's the green section of your handbook. This section relates to seminars, activities, and a project. There are 4 seminar hours required during the semester. And you'll choose from the scheduled seminars, the list of activities, or you might decide to complete a project. So look through your handbook and note the schedule of live seminars. Look at the topics. Look at the days and times that those seminars are scheduled, and identify if there's a topic that fits in your schedule. You also will have the opportunity to do some more self-paced activities. And those activities are on the activity selection list. Note the deadline of those activities as well. Then we have some online activities on the online activity selection pages. And there's 2 pages of online activities. Note the deadline for completion of online activities. And then the last activity that a lot of student interns do is to complete an intern project. So if there's something outside of work or something that may be a little different than what you're regularly doing in your internship, like attending a workshop or some special training, maybe completing a project is more valuable for your investment of this additional 4 hours. So think about some project ideas. Talk to your supervisor about potential projects. Talk to your instructor for ideas of what other students in similar internships to yours might have completed. The point in time that you're going to need to decide whether you're going to do a project is near that time of the first job site meeting. So this isn't something that you can put off to the end of the semester. You need to be thinking about what you're going to accomplish for your project and make that proposal to your instructor. Your instructor will then approve whether that project meets our program requirements, and then you can complete those 4 hours. Now, we require 4 hours of seminars, activities, or project, but you can earn up to 2 extra hours of credit in this particular area for a total of 6 hours. Each hour of seminars, activities, or project is worth 5 points, so for 20 points total. Those extra 2 hours could give you a bonus of 10 extra points. The easiest activity in this green section is the last page, and that's the evaluate the program. Note the deadline at the top of the page and complete this program evaluation either in writing and take this page out of your handbook and turn it into the work experience office, or you can go online and complete the program evaluation online for 1 hour of credit. It won't take you more than about 5 to 10 minutes to give us feedback, but your feedback is so valuable to our program for making improvements that we're going to give you 1 hour of activity credit for completing this program evaluation. We're ready to move on to section 5, the salmon section of your handbook. This section is related to the written requirement for your intern course. So note, reports are due to your instructor by the date listed. You're going to write a 2-page essay, and you're also going to create a resume or update your resume for your student report. Note on the next page the 2 topics that are available to interns, and that you'll also do a resume and the points that you can earn for these 2 categories. There's 13 points for your essay and 12 points available for your resume for up to 25 points. The following pages give you some instruction on how to write a resume. So there's several pages that were put together by our Career Center as a guide for you or a tool in developing a quality resume. If you have questions or concerns about the student report, talk to your instructor. Some instructors will give you the opportunity to do a draft and then a rewrite. So talk to your instructor if you need some assistance in writing your student report, and they can make referral to services on campus that could be valuable to you. Moving on to section 6, the blue section of your handbook. This is the worksheet for keeping track of the hours that you work during the semester. The way you earn units is based on the hours that you work, and so we're going to have you keep track of the hours each week. You're going to report the total hours you work to your instructor at the end of the semester. I mentioned that you'll be reporting those hours worked at that evaluation for your learning objectives. So looking at the dates on the worksheet, that appointment might happen when there's 3 or 4 weeks left in the semester. So it's important that you project or you estimate the last 3 or 4 weeks if that appointment happens before, and I know it will happen before the last week of the semester. So what will happen at the end of the semester if the number of hours that you worked don't meet the requirements for the number of units you're enrolled in? Let's turn to the lavender section, the bottom of the page, for review of how many hours you need to work for the number of units. Let's just note, if you were in a paid position for 4 units, you need 300 hours. So if you didn't achieve that 300 hours by the end of the semester, we're going to need to adjust your units down. Now we can increase units, and the deadline to increase units is going to be the last date to withdraw from a class with a W. You're not going to be withdrawing, but that's the last date that we can increase the number of units you're enrolled in. We'll do the paperwork to make the change if your number of units is going to be less than what you initially enrolled in. If you want to increase, you're going to need to contact me or come by the Work Experience office and make that request. We're ready now to look at section 7 all the way through, the lavender section, and that's related to how you're graded. So you notice at the top of this page that you earn 10 points for orientation. The evaluation of your learning objectives is worth 80 points. You have up to 40 points to award to yourself, and your supervisor has 40 points. That's the majority of where you're earning your points, is on the outcome of your learning objectives, because of course that's the most important part of your learning experience, is what you're acquiring in new knowledge, skills, and abilities on the job. Then your instructor's evaluation is 40 points. There was 15 points for their interaction with you and 25 points for your essay and your student resume. Attending seminars, completing activities, or a project is worth 20 points. Remember, in this category, you could earn an extra 10 points by completing 2 additional hours. So total points are 150 points. And you can see the grading scale here is 135 to 150 points for an A, 120 to 134 for a B, and so on. So how can you be successful in this course? Calendar all your course requirements. Use the table of contents at the beginning of the handbook as a guide for the program requirements. Note the color of each section of the handbook. Get started on your learning objectives. Ask for input from your supervisor. Ask for assistance from your instructor if you need it. Identify seminars to attend or activities or a project that you might complete. Work with your instructor. They're there as a resource to help you. You could see your instructor as few as 2 times at the 2 job site appointments, or possibly more if you need their input. They're there as a resource for you to assist you in being successful in your internship. So utilize their expertise. Use this course to gain valuable knowledge, skills, and abilities that will help you to either decide, yes, I'm on the right track, this is the right profession, the right major for me, and to prepare for a full-time position. Remember, to get credit for orientation, now you need to go back to the front of your handbook, the white page, section 1, and fill out the form at the bottom of that page, or go to the website and complete the orientation credit form online. And this is where you're going to need to come up with that one sample learning objective. You're not going to be held to this objective as one that you may keep for completion during the semester, but you will need to submit that one learning objective in order to earn credit for orientation. And this credit is worth 10 points, so it's important that you follow through. I thank you for your attention. I wish you a wonderful semester as an intern. I'm available by phone and email to assist you, and I look forward to hearing about your success throughout the semester. Have a great time.